On this week's Playback, we play the DC deck building game from Cryptozoic.
We'll take on the roles of famous DC superheroes to find out who among us is the most powerful. I'm Jonathan Estes.
I'm Will Keeler, and this is the Roll for Crit Playback. So, the decks are prepared and our characters chosen. I be playing as Superman. My power is I get an additional power for each different superpower I play, because Superman has every single power.
A lot of powers. I'm Batman.
Really? You don't say.
Naturally. And I get an extra power for each equipment I play during my turn, because that's how I do. I can hold my card.
And then I'm Wonder Woman, and for me, I have for each villain I buy or gain on my turn, I draw an extra card at the end of my turn. And
because she catches lots of villains with their last stop.
Sure? Alright, so, play up my hand. I've got 1 vulnerability, gives me nothing, and 4 punches. Meaning I have 4 power, so I am going to buy Green Arrow's bow.
Alright then, so we refill.
I'm amazed he let that thing go on the market.
I have the exact same hand.
He must be in some deep trouble to be selling that.
This is actually DC the Repo game.
This is the DC Universe's eBay.
Where we're selling people too?
It's Craigslist. This is the Craigslist of the DC world.
I actually have 3 punches. Only 2 vulnerabilities.
So the exact opposite of our hand.
The exopposite of your hand.
opposite.
Well, I could get the lasso of truth.
That actually is probably pretty good.
And
stealing my card.
And a defense. I mean, I was actually tempted to get that.
Everything's so expensive!
Because they're for me.
I have 3. The only thing I can get is a kick. It's going to be the same thing for Willie.
Yeah, except I would want to get a kick.
Yeah, no. Willie, if he unless he plays more than 1 kick, they're worth 3 power to them.
Unfortunately, everything is more than 4 right now. So
I know!
all I can buy is a kick. So I guess I will.
I guess I'll buy the bat signal. Get some stuff cleared out.
He's calling you.
Oh, I got his lasso, so it's only fair.
Do you have 6?
1,
You have 6.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Whoa!
Well, we lost.
Super strength right off the bat for Superman.
I can tell you we've lost.
That's...
I've never been able
How
to...
did that even happen?
I got both cards I bought right off the bat.
Now I have 6. So that kick did help me. Well, I should take this to keep it away from you.
That's true.
Because you already got a superpower.
Yeah.
And both of those I think are worthy choices.
Yeah, I would say though the superpower just because Willie's already got his super strength.
So that's 5, 10, 11. Ra's al Ghul, he always starts the top of the supervillain deck. But I don't know if I'll take him.
Or Ra's al Ghul, depending on depending on who's saying it in what film or TV show. Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, we have long since lost this game.
It's pretty much over.
It is.
Spoilers.
This game's straight up over because I've got another hand of 4 power.
Well,
no, this time there are... Oh, wait.
I've got 4 power, too. Why is Poison Ivy infamous? Just because she's a plant lady?
It's an attack person who...
Oh, yeah. I mean...
I like how you just did that. Oh.
So, you know what? I am going to take out Ra's al Ghul.
Alright.
It's Captain Cold, so each player flips his superhero face down until this villain is defeated.
Aha, the lasso of truth. I defend.
You're Batman, you had like a heat thing or something.
2, 3...
A lasso.
Or a lasso of truth.
Everyone chooses and discards a card?
Can it be from someone else's hand?
Sinestro. Each player reveals their hand and discards a card for each hero they reveal this way.
I got no heroes here?
As do I.
Punches.
Oh! Looking good for everyone.
Sorry, Sinestro. To be fair, it is accurate to the canon of how overpowered Superman is.
Yeah.
This is how things would go.
So, I'm going to get the super speed.
God damn it.
And Sinestro. I am being Superman right now. So, depending on where this is cut, we mentioned how we were going to actually talk about how this is sort of an oddity compared to some of the other times we have played.
Yeah, this was a really well. I don't want to say weird but it was unusual.
Unusual, yes. It's not. No, it's not crazy. But
those among you might say that's a synonym for weird. But
I think it like level.
Right. So what we're talking about is the fact that you got a huge lead very early on.
Third turn.
And Matt even said it was almost. You almost won. Like it was already over.
Yeah. It was very surprising. Usually when we play this, well, first of all, we should mention we played this with a shorter game with only 8.
It was 8 villains, and
villains.
When the supervillain deck runs out, game's over.
Or if the other decks run out, but that rarely happens.
But there's a total of 12 in there you can use.
I believe so.
Plus, obviously, extra expansions.
I have the one promo Felix Faust, which actually I think is probably my favorite supervillain card, just because it's the most interesting.
Well, one thing I will say, and to kind of cut off what we were already talking about, that I actually kind of prefer the shorter game, only because in that way you don't know what's coming up, as opposed to with the full game, you know everything is going to be there at some point. I think
usually I do the fuller game is just because everyone's really just wants to go through all the way to the end.
Right.
But yeah, in this one, you sometimes some people can snowball, but not by turn 3.
I mean, really, any deck building game like this, that's always a possibility.
Of course. And as I'm sure you're going to be saying later on, this is almost the purest extract of deck building there is.
Right. Yeah. To go into the game itself, it is deck building.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
You're building decks. But what were we talking about before that?
The oddity, the shorter game,
right? How amazingly well you did, which it was weird. So it was definitely went much faster than the game usually does. Not that it's a very long game.
No, it's just from what we expect.
Yeah, but it is a deck building game, and we've played it a bunch of times.
Yes, I played it a lot more because. Unlike you, I know a lot of people are DC fans. So for that, and in college, so this was the game I always took out because people always asked for it.
Well, right, because you have sort of a group of friends that don't live near here.
Right.
So when you're with them, I think that's what they love to play.
I had this in college. That was the big thing. So that was most of my memories. I think I played this more than any game because of that.
Wow, really?
Yeah, no. Besides the only other the only one I think I played more is Legendary,
right?
And that's because you have it. I happen to have all the ones for this variant. John happens to own all the Legendary ones. I think it works out very well because that way we both don't need to buy them.
Yeah.
And speaking of variants, you said there is also besides the base, which we have right here, there is the DC Heroes Unite, I believe it is.
Yes.
Which includes many new heroes. It's pretty much same idea, new heroes, which include more popular ones. There is the Crisis one, which is really interesting because that actually adds... I almost want to feel like this is let's try to make it a little bit more like Legendary, because they have the Crisis deck, which is almost like the plot cards.
Right.
But this really adds a lot of difficulty.
I don't think I've tried that one.
We haven't done it, actually. This is the one thing we have... We've played with some of the cards in it, but we haven't done the Crisis deck.
Okay.
Mostly because we have so many other games to play.
We gotta make our choices somewhere.
Because this is Cryptozoic, they have as many properties as they can get. So currently, we don't know how many more they'll get. They have the first one to come out that isn't DC, Street Fighter, which actually plays completely differently.
Well,
I mean, like there's in the supervillains. There's actually a location deck, and it's a lot more based on, as you expect, Street Fighter hitting each other personally. It's not just
PvP.
Yeah, it's a lot more focused on the attacking, defending, and not just attacking and defending, more like attacking one person. So I could just focus on one person the entire time.
Right.
The other one, which came out pretty recently, is the Naruto version for the Naruto Shippuden, which adds a new idea of chakra, where your characters will have like enemy on top, technique, which is superpower, starter, and ally, which sort of makes you want to play the cards and buy certain cards for your hero card. It's not just, Wonder Woman's all villains, Superman's all superpowers. It's like, I want to get a mixture or whatever the case may be. Plus, they have positive attacks, which they don't hurt your opponents, but they, imagine Super Strength, for example, but it only costs 3. That's a positive attack, but people can defend it to cancel it. So it pretty much it's sort of like you can stop your It adds good cards for cheap.
So you can block people from doing things even if it's not necessarily hurting you.
Yes, that's what it's
or
like.
Directly, at least.
Right. I think there were one card in there, Rock Lee.
It's a Munchkin card.
Yes.
It's a no. You're not doing that.
Well, it's because you block with just defense.
Got
The positive attack isn't the blocking. That's like I'll play this card that gives me 8 power. It's a positive attack, but you could be like, I defend it, so no. And finally, this one is just coming out. We picked it up at Board Game Geek Con. The DC Forever Evil. This is actually the flip of the DC game, so you play as the villains. There's a lot more discarding and destroying in this. We actually, when I played with a friend, I didn't play this with you. We actually almost ended the game not by killing the supervillains. Like, the deck almost ran out.
Each player reveals his or her hand and destroys a hero's superpower or equipment in his hand or discard pile.
Deathstroke. Probably one of my favorite DC villains.
Well, I'm gonna take this.
No!
Thank you.
You monster!
Yeah.
I'm going to start with the Dark Knight.
What does that do?
I gain all equipment in the lineup.
I recommend starting with Batman Begins. Dark Knight's second.
You good point.
Yeah. I'm gonna Poison Ivy, you guys.
So what does that do?
So each of you, unless you can defend, has to discard the top card of your deck. If it's 1 or greater cost, you also get a weakness. Sorry, pal.
Oh, my defense!
At least he got one too. All my stuff's coming up. I guess like half of this is our stuff, really.
So we'll...
I mean, we are Batman and Superman. It's my old nemesis whose name I'm not even going to try to say because each time I say it, it's wrong.
Pretty sure it's Darkseid.
Okay, good. Because every time I feel like I say it...
It looks like it might be like Darkseid, but no, it really is as dumb as it looks.
Alright, each player
Darkseid.
discards 2 cards from their hand unless they reveal a villain. I have a villain here.
I don't.
I could reveal a villain, or I could discard 2 vulnerabilities.
That works. So that's 2 power, 5 power, 11 power.
Hey,
I'm Superman. Who else is gonna beat him?
So there are now 3 supervillains left before this game is over.
Yes, that's correct.
I kind of want to play again, not even just for the sake of the filming, just to play a regular game of this.
I told you we're going to play the standard, shorter version.
Each player puts a card in his or her hand and discard pile. Let's joke about it.
Oh,
His or her hand
our
and discard
favorite.
pile will play on his left. If you receive a card that costs 1 or greater, put a weakness on top of your deck.
I like how Cash is. It's Joker, by the way.
It's because you guys know.
No big deal. In the time since my last round, I've lost every card in my hand but 1. Yeah.
Right.
Aquaman's. I now have 2 of Aquaman's tridents, I think.
You really like Aquaman's trident.
No, he's not using them.
He's having a sale. You gotta get Joker, man.
I might. Maybe. Maybe. Assuming you don't.
I don't think I can. I believe that actually is a Wonder Woman villain. If
I think she pops up all over the place.
Yeah. I feel like most, like all the villains I know, that besides Batman and Superman, all become Justice League villains.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, basically, if it's a Greek god,
well, yeah, but I don't think this.
First, I'm gonna do Robin, so I get to put an equipment from my discard pile into my hand.
Pretty good card.
13, so I can.
You can finally get the Robin and.
Yeah, so take Robin.
You get the Joker and Robin.
The one who's really. Isn't she a villain? It's like
she's like neutral.
That's the new card type.
She's a thief, but she's not evil or insane. Well, maybe insane.
So I'm gonna gain the super strength and cheetah.
We each got a super strength. See, it's fair now.
No, it's not.
So wait, our final supervillain.
Right.
Who is it?
Brainiac.
Oh. Somewhat appropriate. And once again, one of mine villains, so I think I should get him.
Take 2 cards from your hand, then they get shuffled all together and get redistributed randomly. I got back exactly what I put in.
Oh, I got better.
I got worse.
Curious, what did everyone get?
Not good.
I put in 2 punches and got 2 punches.
I put a kick in there.
Yeah, I have to kick.
Yeah.
Thanks. I need a superpower for this hand.
Yeah, not happy about that. This is my big
Yeah,
combo though. I'm going to use Robin to recover the Wonder Woman's lasso that I discarded to draw Robin.
So that's 5 power? Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I could end the game, and I may as well because there's really no point. So at least I get to defeat Brainiac. I can take some pride in that.
All right. Let the counting begin.
So I got 24. So, Jonathan, bets on what Willie has. I'm guessing 35.
Well, I got 25.
You beat me.
By 1. Very close. I'm guessing Willie has 42.
He's closer. But however, you win with Price and Right rules.
Damn it. We didn't specify Price and Right rules.
40, exactly.
All right. Let's actually talk about this game.
Well,
why don't you start? What are your actual thoughts? What do you?
Well, for a DC game, I think it's very good.
Why is that a negative? What do you mean? Because you expect less from a licensed game?
Well, sometimes licensed games can be like this one is very close to that line of just being like I could close my eyes and it could be anything. But I still enjoy seeing this. Still lets me see a lot of the DC universe. So I still see a lot of the characters. I mean, sure, I can't play as all my favorites, but I mean, I can still see Robin. We still see the Joker. We still see a lot of the different characters, even some of them that aren't as big and popular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has a decent amount of. It's not just for the mainstream. It definitely has those obscure characters in there,
which I think is a plus. That works well. And I think that's a big thing with any deck building game. That works well. You have the chance, which is why I think both Marvel and DC have sort of captured these really nice series that they can sort of be the base for other games. Like, probably if there was just a Street Fighter game, it'd sort of just be that and done. But the fact that you can mix it with the DC, which will keep going, and vice versa with Marvel, has the Alien one, there probably won't be any more Aliens because it hit all the movies. But, like, you can mix and match. And I think that's where deck building really shines. And we see this one work very well because it's deck building distilled to just deck building.
Right.
But that also brings us to, I think, probably the biggest issue with the game. It's just deck building. Yeah. Like we said, we haven't played either the hero versus villain variant, which both of us are very excited to try. The Crisis, which I'm interested, but it puts on higher difficulty, and I just got to get the right group of people for. And with all other games, I'm not gonna force this on anybody just because we have other things to get to, and I'd love to, but eventually I know I can get other people to do it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, for me, that's the thing. Is it really is, there's one line of currency, there's one lineup of things to buy. So on your turn, how many points do I have? 5. Well, that's what you can buy. It's worth 5. It's very, very straightforward. There are very rarely, sometimes you'll have to decide which of these two things are better for me to buy. But generally, your decisions aren't that complex.
No, you're absolutely right. It definitely is a lot simpler. Like, we should say just with this one. Once again, we don't know with Crisis and all that.
And of course, when you add, like the expansions, if you add in more of the attacks and stuff like that, it does.
Right, does. I think that's one of the big things that can help. For example, we've mixed the Street Fighter and the DC one. And the Street Fighter one, because of its style of attacking so much, the weaknesses, unlike staying in your deck, which give you negative points at the end, return to the weakness pile when you play them. So what we did is we actually shuffled the weakness deck, put it face down, so it sort of became okay, I'm going to have to gain like one of the cards when you make a choice, when gain a weakness or do this, you might be like, I might get a DC weakness, but I could get a Street Fighter one, which I can get rid of really fast.
Yeah.
So it adds a bit more. I think that's definitely, one of the best ones to mix, just because that one weakness thing, I think, brings a lot of interest to the game.
Yeah, I agree. I will say, I think I actually enjoyed the Street Fighter. Well, I don't know if I enjoyed it more, but it was a nice change of pace.
No, I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I would have to try more.
Well, I think what also is nice is because it's not just, all right, I play the most infamous card I can think of in the base, Scarecrow.
Right.
It's not just, everyone gets a weakness. It's, okay, I could attack Jonathan, for example, because I think I've seen him buying a lot of good cards. But I know my brother, let's say, for example, like Wonder Woman, had 6 cards in his hand. I don't want him to have a really huge turn. Mm-hmm. So that's what brings the Street Fighter, I think, is one of the best mixing ones. The Naruto one I've only played once. I haven't mixed with it. The issue that came up there was, as I said, the positive attacks are really where you get a lot of the big boosts. But I happened, just because in my head playing the DC one, I didn't know about it for this, got a lot of the defense cards. So I was actually able to pretty much just go, I'm defending that. I'm defending that. I'm defending that. So they couldn't do stuff when I could get all the big things.
That's a good...
So I think that's... I mean, we'll see how it mixes. It definitely brings up a question of it might not do well mixing because if there's enough defense cards in there, those positive attacks are worthless. But then again, that could be a good way to bait out someone's defense card and be like, I do this, and you're like, I defend that, you don't get it. All right, I now attack you.
I mean, that is definitely a question of do they even, like, of course they're compatible, but how much do they test how well they actually work?
That is a really interesting question, and I would love to ask them about that.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I was going to say is it didn't even come up during the show. We're talking about attacks and weaknesses. There's also location cards.
Oh,
which are generally
highly sought after.
Yeah, like the most powerful cards in the game.
Yes, because unlike the other cards, locations actually stay in front of you, which is really helpful because then you could... And the base one... Yeah, I don't think the base has a single way to get rid of someone's locations.
No, I don't think so.
I think they realize that, so that all the other ones usually have 1 or 2 cards that do that.
But I remember when we first were playing just the base, it was always like, well, he got a location, we're doomed.
Yeah.
Those were really...
And they just give really nice effects. They'll be like, whenever you play a villain, you get the top card or something, or if you play a card 2 less, draw a card. They're really helpful.
Yeah, so and I think that the
which is where the interest comes because Street Fighter's supervillains, for lack of it, are the locations for the deck.
Right.
So you're rewarded with those good abilities.
Yeah.
And high costing cards at the end. Pricing.
So there is an interesting mix there of different card types that so it does have a little more than just you're buying each turn.
The one issue also with mixing, which comes up, is unlike once again. I feel like we are forced to compare to it. Legendary, where literally you're just like, I'm going to just pick these. I mean, sure, if you don't have a green hero against Loki, it's probably going to hurt a bit more, but it's not really going to devastate any of your cards. But in each of these, there are cards like, I got one in this, they didn't really appear anymore, Suicide Squad. Each one has their own version. I think the only one I remember is the villain one is Royal Flush Gang, where really rely on you getting multiple copies of that card. Now, if you mix them, the problem is you can either A, really count to make sure, which you have to take time to really find out a nice balance for the deck. B, say that all the mixtures count for the same name, which we did once and it ended really badly. It gave me 50 points from just them alone because it's hard to keep track.
Yeah.
Or, well, actually, yeah, those are really your 2 options. Or C, take them all out, which is sort of sad because they're actually really fun. Because it could be like, okay, I have 2 Suicide Squads. I hope they don't see one.
Because they also chain if you have them in your hand. It's not just the end of the game.
They work really well together, and that's I think the biggest problem. You have to be much more careful with your mixing, which is a little bit more difficult because it's just a deck. Like Marvel, yeah, you have to do that, but it's set up like that. You actually have, Mr. Fantastic, Deadpool, so on and so forth.
You actually get to choose.
Yeah, you're supposed to do that.
Right.
It's designed that way.
Yeah, one of the things that I don't really like as much either is just the fact that every card you buy has points attached to it. Mm-hmm. One of the things I think I like, I don't want to turn this into the DC versus Legendary, but it's
hard not to because it's sort of
they are
superheroes, both deck building games. It's like, how could you not put them side by side?
So I'll just say this in particular.
This is probably 2 games we've played a lot of compared to others.
Yeah. That in Legendary it's just the villains give you the points and like your hero cards don't, so it's a little more strategic of being like the attack versus buying has that different component to it, whereas again in this it's all really there's one thing you got to know, which can be a positive thing for some people.
Yeah, I enjoy that in the sense because what happens is there are cards out there, they'll be like, if you have 4 more equipment, it's worth 5 points, which is about the points of the lower costing supervillains. So you might be like, I could get that super strength or something, but I have all those equipments. I don't want anyone else getting the 5-point bonus off the utility belt, which is the card I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of cards like that, which I really like to bring some interesting buying strategies to it. I mean, yes, it is still, like you said, the lineup, but there is still some variety. First of all, your card makes a difference, obviously.
Your hero card.
Right.
Because you each have an ability.
Like, I'm Superman, he's Batman. I might not buy any cards in the lineup and just get a kick because that's a superpower.
Right.
While for you, you might buy a lot more you might skip over a reasonable superpower for an equipment.
I definitely think some of the powers are better than others.
Oh, no, that is discussed online. I know for a fact, I believe in this set, Cyborg's considered the best, which I would probably agree. I think Superman and Green Lantern are probably with him in terms of what I've seen. I definitely am, most times I play, Superman does not do that well. This is the first time I've seen him really shine. Once again, really surprised. Well, I definitely agree with Cyborg and Green Lantern. Both of them seem to really... Well, Green Lantern supports you just buying a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Cyborg not only gives you more power, but also drawing. So he gets sort of like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. I definitely think also some of them are better thematically too.
Absolutely.
Like I think all the ones we played with were pretty good. Batman gets equipment, Superman gets superpowers, Flash goes first and everything. But then sometimes some of them are kind of like clearly we don't have that many more card types in here.
Well, I think that's Wonder Woman's. I mean, I don't know, but it just seems.
Well, she gets villains, which sort of makes sense because she like lassos them in or whatever, so she gets power from that. But don't they all capture villains?
Right,
you know what I mean?
I mean, and obviously they have to come up with more and more things for them. Like I think Batgirls is like discard a punch to draw a card.
It's the same similar thing that I think we've seen in Legendary 2, where at a certain point with these game systems, they're only, without adding totally new mechanics, there's only so many things you can do to make people feel different, unique. So are we ready to give like final thoughts overall?
Well, yeah, final thoughts.
Well, I know I want to go first because I don't want to end on a negative note.
If you, this is probably one game where we both are a bit.
I'm lukewarm on this game. Basically, my feelings on it are basically kind of what we've already said. Thematically, I don't feel it's very strong. I think the fact that Cryptozoic, as we said, has all these different versions. It's like we've seen, we talking about this a lot lately, Love Letter and Flux. Is usually if a game can have that many different themes, it's usually a sign that the theme isn't doing much for it. So for me personally, I wish there was more of that DC feeling. And as we said, it's just, I feel like it's a decent, it's a good intro to deck building because like we've discussed, it's so purely focused on that. But being honest, if I was going to suggest to someone, buy your first deck building game, I would say Dominion probably. But at the end of the day, I have enjoyed playing the game, and it's not, it's not like I never want to play it. Like, it's functional. It's an entertaining.
It's not Candyland,
right? The rules make sense. It works. But ultimately, for me, there's not quite enough there that I want to come back to it all the time.
Yeah, I've been able to get a lot more enjoyment out of it than he has. It's definitely one I probably would suggest, especially since most people I know are probably interested in the DC universe, especially with the whole Batman versus Superman coming up. I think it has a lot of interest, especially with, once again, it is a plus or minus. They have so many other expansions. Street Fighter, Naruto, you might like those if you're into those properties. And like we said, in particular, I think the Street Fighter one is probably very well executed. Probably out of the bundle. Yeah, I have to think about that. And once again, there's always more to come. You know that. In terms of a basic one, it's great because it's simple, like we said, so it's really easy to teach everyone.
Yeah, everyone will be able to play it and catch up to it, and it's a theme that people know.
Yeah, I think those are things. Like I said, especially in college, it's just one that everyone wanted to play.
I would say, like, if you're that diehard DC fan,
absolutely.
Actually, to be honest, I kind of would say, like, the two opposite ends of the spectrum. if you're, like, so hardcore that you have to own every DC thing, or if you're just more casual and you just kind of like, oh, Superman's on it, this will be fun. Good for you. Whereas I feel like I'm in the middle spectrum.
My next question is, what the hell in the world is the middle spectrum? I don't understand.
The middle is,
to me, that's left and right. There is
that's casual and extreme. I'm in the middle. I like DC Comics, but to be really grabbed by it, I don't need to own every single thing. but I want a little more than just, oh, look, Superman's on it. That's neat.
Yeah, you want something that really feels like you're in the DC universe, which I can understand.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the reasons I know you really enjoy Legendary, because it does a better job at that.
And even that, there could an argument
right.
can be
No,
made.
it's at the lowest level of that, but I still think it does a better job reaching it than this. I'll agree 100% there. But I definitely do think this is a good Cryptozoic game. It deserves, I think, a spot. One of these, at least, deserves a spot on your shelf. Just, get the property that you want. My guess is that if you don't see one you like, it's going to come.
Just wait. It'll come out for you soon.
And we did forget to mention this, because they announced it, but it hasn't come out yet. I don't know when it will. They are designing a special Batman versus Joker version. In which you have, I think, like levels of profile cards, and for each time you're defeated, you get better abilities.
It's just a one-on-one, right?
Yes, it's designed to be a one-on-one.
So there's a lot of stuff coming in the future.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about them stopping production anytime soon.
Yeah, but overall, I think a game we both enjoyed.
A game we have both enjoyed.
And I think, like we have said, there are many versions, and if you want one, we've got them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we actually have all of them available on our very own website, rollforcrit.com. You can go there and search DC, Street Fighter, Naruto, and I'm sure we'll have many more in the future.
When they come out.
Yes. And what else? If they want to maybe let us know what their favorite version is.
Maybe if they agree with our thoughts. If
who do you side with? Ironically, I'm the one wearing the Batman shirt.
Yeah.
on the negative spectrum here.
Maybe how you think they can improve it. Or I think this one is great because we've talked about this with both Legendary and this one. What properties would work well under this umbrella?
Mm-hmm. Well, you can send us an email. Our email address is rollforcrit@gmail.com.
Of course, we have the tweets @rollforcrit and our personal ones @Dorkiryu.
Mine is @Quence, and there's also our good friends @IvanRhan and @Foamy89. And I think that covers it for today's episode.
It is. So check our site. There's plenty more playbacks like this, plenty more games to buy, plenty news action. So you probably will hear about that if you pay attention to our news feed, if I can speak.
And like us on Facebook, subscribe, all that good stuff.
I think that's...
Keep up with us.
Yeah, I think that's... enough for now. Stay tuned for more adventures.
Same Bat channel. Same Bat YouTube channel. That's the DC Deck Building Game. I'm Jonathan Estes.
I'm Will Keeler, and this has been a Roll for Crit Playback.